the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2, in conjunction with Colfax High School, presents Viking Pregame. A look at today's Colfax Vikings boys game. And now, Viking Pregame.
Good evening, and welcome to the NLWN2 studios. Rick Olson here, and tonight the 6-9 Colfax Vikings, who are 3-4 in the Dunn St. Croix Conference, are getting ready to take on the 6-9 Regis Ramblers, who are 5-3 in the Western Clover Belt in a non-conference matchup. The Vikings are coming off a 68-52 win over the Mondovi Buffaloes on Friday, while the Ramblers are coming off a 56-41 victory over the McDonald Central Max, also on Friday. Now, in tonight's edition of Viking Pregame, we'll take a look at tonight's matchup between the Regis Ramblers and the Colfax Vikings. Then we'll take a quick look at where things stand in the Dunn St. Croix Conference. Following that, our broadcast crew will bring you all the play-by-play action of tonight's game. So it's time to get ready for some exciting high school boys basketball. All that coming up right after this brief timeout. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
Helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back to Viking Pregame, where we're getting ready to bring you all the action of tonight's game with a non-conference matchup between the Regis Ramblers and the Colfax Vikings. The 6-9 Vikings, who are 3-4 in the Dunn St. Croix Conference, are hoping to continue to build their level of play and get ready for the next push in the Dunn St. Croix Conference race. And that's following their 68-52 win over the Mondovi Buffaloes last Friday. The Ramblers, who are also 6-9, are 5-3 in the Western Clover Belt Conference and are hoping to continue to sharpen their skills following their 56-41 win over the McDonald Central Max on Friday. Now, in the Vikings win over Mondovi, the Vikings opened a lead by as much as 20 points in the first half and coasted to the win. They were led in scoring by 5'9" senior Elijah Ensminger, who hit on 7 field goals, including a three-pointer, and went 4 for 6 from the free throw line for 20 points. He was followed by 5'11" junior Aiden Fisher, who nailed 8 shots from the floor, including 2 three-pointers, as well as making his only free throw for 19 points. Mason Yarrington contributed by hitting 3 three-pointers for 9 points. The 6-9 Regis Ramblers pulled off somewhat of an upset by defeating the highly touted McDonald Central Max 56-41 on Friday. Now, leading the way for the Ramblers in that game was 5'11" junior Owen Weisenberger, who scored on 8 field goals, including a three-pointer, while going 3 for 5 from the charity stripe and scoring 20 points. He was followed by 6'2" sophomore Blake Rissler, who hit 6 field goals and went 2 for 3 from the line for 14 points. 6' junior Andrew Birschbach also added 8 points. Now, so far this season, the Regis Ramblers have shown that they can shoot the ball from anywhere. And leading the way for the Ramblers is Rissler, who's shooting 45% from the floor, including 40% from beyond the three-point arch and 76% from the free throw line, while averaging nearly 21 points per game. He's followed by Weisenberger, who's hitting on 52% from the floor, including 44% from three-point land, as well as 82% from the free throw line, while averaging over 17 points per game. 6'6" senior Alex Ciula leads the Ramblers on the boards by pulling down over 7 rebounds per game, and 6'3" sophomore George Wolterstoff also contributes by grabbing 5 per game. Now, thus far this season, the Vikings are being led in scoring by Ensminger, who's averaging nearly 17 points per game. Aiden Fisher is also scoring in the double digits with an average of over 15.5 points per game. And Mason Yarrington and Eli Ralph are also contributing nearly 5.5 points per game. Now, leading the way rebounding for the Vikings is Fisher, who's grabbing nearly 6 boards per game, with Eli Ralph and Orion Nichols grabbing 5 and 4, respectively. Now, coming up next, following this timeout, we'll get the coach's perspective as we chat with Viking head coach Mark Knoll on Coach's Corner. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
Here's Grandma Florence after that flood wiped out the whole neighborhood. Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Your family is your legacy. Planning for a natural disaster will make sure you're all safe. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today.
Time now to see what the coaches have to say. It's Coach's Corner, what they look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. And now, Coach's Corner.
Once again on Coach's Corner, we're talking with Viking boys head coach Mark Knoll. And Coach, last Friday, the Vikings defeated a physical and scrappy Mondovi Buffaloes 68-52. What can you tell us about that game?
Well, I was obviously very happy with the boys to go on the road and to get a win on the road. That's hard to do in the Dun St. Croix. So, I mean, accomplishing that goal was great. We did that with great effort on the defensive end of the floor. You know, we had a goal to get 15-plus deflections, and we had 20 deflections in that game. And we had, I think, around 14 steals. And so we were able to make it an up-tempo game, and that's what we needed to do.
Now, in that game, the Vikings took command early and opened a lead of 20 points. However, in the second half, things got, shall we say, a little ragged. And now, was this due to the Vikings backing off and some coasting to the victory, or did Mondovi figure some things out?
No, I mean, I don't think there was no coasting going on or anything like that. I mean, obviously, you know, Mondovi, if you look at their record, you might not think they're a good team, but they're a way better team than their record. They've played a lot of teams really close, and, you know, they've lost by 10 points to McDonald. They played a lot of people like Durant, who's the best team right now, in my opinion, in the Dun St. Croix. They played them to a 2-point game at halftime, and lost by 17. So they're playing people close. I think the closest they got to us in the second half was maybe 12-13. That might have been the closest. So I was happy with our effort.
Now tonight, the Vikings are going to step out of conference play by facing the Regis Ramblers. What can you tell us about the Ramblers?
Just like about every team, they're very well coached. You know, so I excited to go there and play on the road, because I think anytime you play in the road, you know, that's where you have to be able to win games. You know, you're expected to win at home. On the road is where you have to prove yourself. So we get another chance to prove ourselves tonight against a very quality Clover Belt team that's really come on strong here as of late. Once they've gotten in the conference, I think they're like 5-3. They're tied for second or third place in the Clover Belt right now. Excuse me. And they've got two dynamic guards that can really put up points. You know, this Reisler and Weisenberger both, you know, are averaging 20 and 17. So they both have that potential to go off for, you know, high 20s, low 30s type game.
Now, the Ramblers, when you look at them on paper, have basically they've got the same overall record as the Vikings. They score and allow similar amounts of points, but the Ramblers just upset McDonald Central. Now, with their coming off an impressive win like that, will that provide any additional motivation, or will it maybe cause some concern for the Vikings?
1, 2, 3,
no,
4,
because like I
1,
told
2,
our
3.
boys, that's their big rival game. That's the Colfax versus Elk Mountain type game. You know, Regis versus McDonald is a big rival game, so you're always going to get really good games out of that. And I know Regis is a very good team. They've got, like I said, they got two kids that can flat out score, And if we leave them open at any time tonight, they're going to make a shot. And they're going to shoot threes from wherever they want to shoot from. So they're that kind of team. And, like I said, Mondovi played McDowell to a 10-point game as well. And so we do have those common opponents, with Regis tonight as well. But it should be a fun one. Should be very intense.
And you mentioned about their shooting prowess. In looking at their numbers, they not only shoot from all over the floor, but they make it from all over the floor with about a 40% shooting percentage from outside the arc, and their free throw shooting is running between 75 and 80%. I'm talking about those top couple players that you've mentioned. Yeah. This is going to really put your defense to a test.
Yeah, it will. I mean, they got two kids that have made 44 and 43 three-pointers, which I think anytime you get over, especially at this time of the season, if you're over 43s, that's pretty dang good, because that means you're averaging, almost 3 a game. They're both averaging almost 3 a game, and like you said, they're both shooting at a high percentage, just under 40%. So, our defense is going to be tested tonight. They're going to make some, just hopefully they don't make too many of them.
Well, you've talked about a couple of Regis players that are really strong. Vikings have some players that are pretty outstanding as well. I want to mention Aiden Fisher, who on Friday not only scored 19 points, but is also leading the team this season in rebounding and steals, and is the number 2 scorer on the team. He seems to be able to do it all. Can you talk a little about the progress that he's made this season?
Yes, Aiden's made huge strides this year. He's gone from last year being our first to second, maybe even third sub off the bench to, being one of our top 2 players when it comes to scoring for us this year. And he's doing a lot of that by being active on both ends of the floor. He's not standing around. He's not watching. He's being active, and anytime you're being active, you have a chance to be a really good player.
Well, Coach Knoll, good luck on tonight's game. Hopefully the Vikings will keep building on the high level of performance that they put forth in the last couple of games.
Thank you very much. Go Vikings.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner, with a look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
Welcome back to Viking Pregame as we're getting ready to bring you tonight's non-conference game, pitting the Colfax Vikings against the Regis Ramblers. Now, even though tonight's game is a non-conference game, let's take a look around the Dunn St. Croix Conference just to see where things stand. Now, in conference games last Friday, the Durand, Arkansas Panthers defeated the Boyceville Bulldogs 77-49, while the Elk Mound Mounders topped the Glenwood City Hilltoppers 77-67. The Colfax Vikings bested the Mondovi Buffaloes 68-52, and the Spring Valley Cardinals upended the Elmwood Plum City Wolves 67-34. Now that leaves the Dunn St. Croix Conference standings as follows. In first place with a 7-0 record are the Durand, Arkansas Panthers. The Spring Valley Cardinals are 1 game back in second place with a 6-1 record. In third place at 6-2 and 1.5 games behind are the Elk Mound Mounders. In fourth place are the Colfax Vikings with a 3-4 record. They're 4 games behind the leaders. In fifth place, we find the Boyceville Bulldogs at 3-5 and 4.5 games back. The Glenwood City Hilltoppers at 2-5 occupy sixth place, and tied for seventh place at 1-6 and 6 games out are the Mondovi Buffaloes and the Elmwood Plum City Wolves. Tonight, There are 4 Dunn St. Croix Conference teams in non-conference action. In addition to the Vikings taking on the Regis Ramblers, the Elkmount Mounders are set to do battle with the Bloomer Blackhawks in Bloomer, while the Boyceville Bulldogs travel to Oliva Strum to take on the Cardinals, and the Mondovi Buffaloes will host the Fall Creek Crickets. Tonight, the Vikings will try to continue to build upon their recent strong play as they prepare for the next push in the Dunn St. Croix Conference. Meanwhile, the Ramblers would like to build on the momentum they gained in their victory last Friday over McDonald Central. Now, if team scoring averages so far on the season indicate anything, these two teams are well matched. So far this year, Regis is averaging 53 points per game while giving up 57. On the other hand, the Vikings are averaging 51 while giving up 53. So the stage is set for some exciting boys high school basketball, and we'll give you all the action right here on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Now in just a moment we'll send it out to our broadcast crew over at Regis High School in Eau Claire as we bring you all the action of tonight's non-conference game between the Colfax Vikings and the Regis Ramblers. That's all coming up next. You've been tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
You've been tuned to Viking Pregame with a look at today's Colfax Viking Boys game. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Stay tuned, coming up next is live Colfax Viking basketball. It happens to everyone eventually. Your computer goes on the fritz. Fear not, Sladen's Technology Services can help. When your computer decides to not cooperate, it can be very frustrating. Let Sladen's Technology Services keep you from wanting to drive your computer right off a cliff. Sladen's Technology Services supports business of all sizes. They offer assistance with managed anti-malware, encrypted email, fast tech support, data backup, and recovery, and more. Call Sladen's Technology Services at 715-864-2833 and get the IT help you desire. Sladen's Technology Services is the official IT service for the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
In November of 2018, our daughter Jana passed away. The outpouring of support was unbelievable. Support that we received inspired us to start a foundation called the Jana Kelly Memorial Foundation. And through that foundation,
we've given back in a lot of different ways, through projects, through different other charities that we've supported. We like to help Humane Association, and the Ronald McDonald House is something that's very near and dear to us. We've also recently, this last year, we actually built a tiny house. It's really exciting to be able to give back in different ways.
To learn more or to help financially, would find us on Facebook or www.janakelly.com.
Colfax Viking Boys Basketball is on the air.
He'll pass it out to Blake Johnson. He'll take the shot for 3. Vikings.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network, along with NLWN2, is excited to bring you Colfax High School Boys Basketball.
Springer down inside to Hoffman. He'll drive the right side of the lane, pop it up from 6. Good.
Join us as we follow the Vikings while they battle their way through the Dunn St. Croix Conference.
Charlo out to Ensminger for 3. Hits it!
And now out to the gym for today's Colfax Viking basketball.
Regis High School, Colfax High School, and the WYAA require good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators at education-based interscholastic events. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, racial, sexist, or ethnic comments or other intimidating actions directed at officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from the site of competition. Thank you. And now here are your starting lineups. First for the Colfax Vikings. At guard, 6'4" junior, number 4, Aiden Fisher. At guard, a 5'9" senior, number 10, Elijah Insminger. At guard, a 5'11" senior, number 15, Mason Yarrington. At guard, a 6' senior, number 23, Blake Johnson. And at forward, a 6'2" senior, number 33, Eli Roth. The head coach of the Vikings in his 4th season is Mark Knoll, assisted by Tristan Killison and Nick Height. And now the starting 5 for the Regis Ramblers. At forward, a 6'6" senior, number 0, Alex Shula. At forward, a 6'3" sophomore, number 1, George Lodersdorf. At guard, a 5'11" junior, number 3, Owen Weissenberger. At guard, a 5'11" junior, number 4, Noah Terrace. And at guard, a 6'2" sophomore, number 21, Blake Whistler. In the 2nd season, the Ramblers are coached by Connor Miller, assisted by Randy Whistler, Zach Lehman, Brad Terrace, and Spencer Page. Your officials this evening are Nick Weisenbeck, Tyler Schroer, and Garrett Larson. And we welcome those joining us via live stream on the Regis Catholic Schools Facebook and YouTube channels with Sawyer Stirs and Peyton Stewart on the play-by-play.
And also on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2, Jay Fall, Dan Petshaw, and Chris Olson, and camera operators. Regis in home white moving left to right, and that ball knocked deep into the backcourt, and Colfax gets it. Colfax Road red, moving right to left as we look on. That is Fisher going up on top to Johnson. Johnson to Yarrington. 2-3 zone being played by the Ramblers. That's Fisher gets it. Yarrington will look at a three-pointer. Free throw line right. Looking down underneath. Blocked up in there. Elijah Ensminger out to Johnson. Back over to Yarrington. Yarrington's going to take a look into Fisher, and it's stolen away by Alex Shula of the Ramblers. Both these teams, similar overall record, 6 wins and 9 losses. Colfax in a 3-way tie for second at 5-3, or Regis is in the Western Clover Belt, and the Vikings 4th in the Dun St. Croix. Bounce pass into Waltersdorf, out to Rissler, and an errant pass goes across into row 3, row 2, and it was tipped by Colfax, so Regis will hang on to it. 16:52 to go, first half, no score. Cross-court pass goes over to Rissler. Rissler into the lane to Waltersdorf, back outside to Noah Terrace. Three-pointer bounces out big, and coming up with a loose ball, Ensminger. Ensminger out to Yarrington. Yarrington out in the corner will flip a pass back to Ensminger to Yarrington. Ensminger over on the right side. Ensminger in the center to Fisher, bounces it to Yarrington, now free throw line left. Fisher, Ensminger, three-pointer, rolls off the rim, no good, rebounded by Owen Weisenberger of the Ramblers. Up the floor, Rissler, cross court to Noah Terrace. Down inside, Terrace will take a three-point attempt. That'll bounce off the back iron. Tipped, and trying to get it is Aiden Fisher.
Vikings ball.
And it's going to go to the Vikings off Waltersdorf. Out of the backcourt, it is Fisher. Fisher to Ensminger, back and forth over on the right wing. Back to Ensminger, he pops it up on the baseline, catches the side of the backboard. Tipped, Regis get it now, stolen back by Fisher. Fisher up the floor as Regis sets pretty quickly. Blake Johnson back out to Fisher, down inside to Ralph. Fisher back out to Johnson. Yarrington back to Johnson on top. Bounced in to Ensminger, free throw line area, good. 2-0 Colfax, 15-13. Remaining in the first half, Regis bringing the ball up. Rissler, full court pressure by the Vikings, over to Weisenberger. Weisenberger way up the floor to Terrace, back out to Rissler. Rissler goes up from the side.
Basket is good by Blake Rissler.
Blake Rissler scores the basket and the foul by Aiden Fisher of the Vikings. First foul of the game. Rissler on the line to shoot one. We're tied at 2. Just under 15 minutes to go here in the first half. And the free throw no good. And Fisher ends up bouncing it on the end line, so Regis gets it back on their end. Weisenberger into Rissler. Back to Weisenberger. He kind of bowls a pass into Olderstorff. Out at the top of the key, Rissler for 3. Drains it. 5-2 Regis. 14:44 to go in the first. Yarrington with the pass, free throw line right, or gets the pass. Back out on top to Fisher. To Ensminger. Ensminger up from the free throw line again. Rolls around and down. 5-4 Regis. 14:25 remaining in the first half. Over on the far side, it's Rissler. Rissler to Weisenberger. Back over to Rissler. Down along the side, up on top to Terrace. Back over to Rissler. Rissler to Terrace. Bounce pass to Wolderstorff. He'll drive in or try to. And he is fouled on the way in. That's going to be charged to Eli Ralph of the Vikings.
That's his first personal, second team foul.
That's the second foul for Colfax and the first for Eli Ralph.
Schwartz into the lineup for the Vikings, replacing Eli Ralph. George Wolterstorff at the line.
George Wolterstorff on the free throw line. He will shoot one. And Wolterstorff sends it up and puts it in. Regis now up by 2. 6-4. We're approaching the 14-minute mark left here in the first half. Second one. That one bounces out. Rebounded by Shula. Shula puts it up, and then he is fouled by Logan Schwartz. So Alex Shula is going to go to the line for 2 free throws.
Alex Shula shooting 2.
The Dunn St. Croix Honors Choir and Band performance will be held this coming Saturday, 1:30 at Elmwood High School. Free throw is missed. 6-4 Regis leading Colfax in non-conference boys basketball. And that one falls short as well. Rebound pulled out of there big by Aiden Fisher. He'll dribble it up the floor across the R in the center of the floor to Yarrington. Fisher gets it back. Over to Yarrington. He's going to look at a 3 ball. Back to Fisher. He'll take a look as well. Yarrington out to Ensminger. Ensminger for 3. Catches the front iron. Rebounded by Alex Shula of the Ramblers. Out to Terrace. Terrace off on the right side. Rissler on the wing. Doubled up on in the corner. It goes to Owen Weisenberger. And that shot bounces off big. But Ensminger was the last one to touch it. Regis is going to keep it on their end. Inbound throw goes right to Aiden Fisher of the Vikings. Fisher out to Yarrington. Back to Fisher. Fisher will take the 3-pointer. Missed. Ensminger fighting for the rebound and can't save it before it goes out of bounds. Join NLWN TV along with the Northern Light Webcasting Network tomorrow night as the Vikings girls will take on the Boyceville Bulldogs in a Dunn St. Croix Conference matchup. Live coverage will begin with Viking pregame beginning at 6:40. That'll be followed by all the live play-by-play action. That's Colfax girls basketball tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. Ball gets knocked out of bounds by the Vikings. Regis will keep it. Noah Terrace alley-oops it into the backcourt to Blake Rissler. Rissler in the center, looks to his right, bounces a pass to Weisenberger, inside to Andrew Burschback now, and left open. Blake Rissler drains the three-pointer. It is 9-4. Eau Claire Regis leading Colfax. And ball stolen by Weisenberger, and he'll put in a layup on the right side. It's now 11-4 Regis. Blake Johnson across the timeline out to Yarrington. And ball tapped away. Blake Johnson goes back after it. Ensminger fires over to Fisher. Fisher going up in the land of the Giants, puts in a layup on the left side. Closes the gap. It's Regis 11, Colfax 6, 12-10 remaining first half. Rissler still in the backcourt for Regis across the timeline, doubled up. Terrace fires along the right side of the lane to Burschback, back outside to Rissler. Rissler's three-pointer missed, rebounded by Shula. He'll bounce it back out to Rissler, or check that, that's Burschbach. And from the lane, that shot bangs around and out, rebounded by Aiden Fisher of the Viking. Fisher into Ensminger, and on his back was Alex Shula.
Number 0, Alex Shula. That's his first personal.
That's the first Ramblers team foul, and of course, Alex's first.
Orion Nichols into the lineup.
Orion Nichols, Theo Hubby checking in for the Vikings. As Orion Nichols gets his uniform top tucked in, and he'll get it underneath the Colfax basket, out on top to Fisher. Fisher out to Orion Nichols into Ensminger. Ensminger fall away from 5, and it is going to be going to River Falls. Going to Regis as Noah Terrace, or it was Aiden Fisher knocked it out. And we have a timeout on the floor, 11:29 to go first half, 11-6 Regis. You're watching Colfax Viking Basketball, the Northern Light Webcasting Network, and NLWN2.
Dairy State Bank encourages you to save smarter for your retirement by maximizing possible tax advantages. We offer traditional, Roth, and rollover IRAs with a wide variety of investment options. It's not too late to invest up to $6,500 of possible tax-deferred earnings into an IRA for 2023 tax purposes, or $7,500 if you're 50 or better. Call or stop by for more information. Dairy State Bank, banking on relationships. Member FDIC.
To Eau Claire Regis, the Colfax Vikings trail by 5. It's 11-6 Ramblers. They'll bring the ball up the floor. Weisenberger back and forth with Rissler. Rissler on the far side being guarded by Hubdy. He'll bounce it up to Burschback. Then back into Terrace. Terrace back open, free throw line left to Rissler. Rissler dumps it off to Burschback. And it's stolen away by Hubdy of the Vikings. Hubdy scoops it back to Ensminger. Ensminger is going to wait for traffic to clear. Out in the corner, Aiden Fisher, three-pointer bounces off. No good. Alex Shula with a rebound for Regis. Weisenberger driving up the floor, scoop pass out to number 4, Noah Terrace for the three-pointer. Eau Claire Regis 14, Colfax 6. Over on the far side, it's Hubdy. Hubdy back and forth with Fisher, and Ensminger trying to drive it in the corner. Will flip it back out to Fisher. Fisher bounces back to Hubdy up at the top of the key. Fisher drives the left side of the lane. Wait, bounces it back to Ensminger. Ensminger up from the free throw line. No good. Loose ball picked up by the Ramblers. Weisenberger gets it back from Terrace over on the right wing to Blake Rissler. Weisenberger, Rissler, three-pointer around the rim, out, no good. Elijah Ensminger with a rebound for Colfax. Ensminger down in the corner to Hovde. Hovde on the baseline, bounces it into Orion Nichols. Then Fisher up from the corner of the lane, bounces or bangs around a lot, doesn't go in. Hovde had the rebound, and it looks like he is going to draw a foul from Andrew Burschbach of the Ramblers. His first, Regis his second. 9:46 to go. First half, 14-6, Eau Claire Regis leading Colfax. Big pass out on the top to Ensminger. He's going to look at a three ball. Stops his dribble, will toss it into Ralph. Ensminger gets it back from Hovde. Ensminger free throw line, rolls off the rim on, rebounded by Blake Rissler. Rissler out to Weisenberger. Dribbling it is Rissler to Burschbach, back to Weisenberger. He'll drive in, keeps it outside the three-point arch. Blake Rissler keeps the dribble as he falls to the floor. Burschbach gets the pass back to Terrace. Over on the left side, Weisenberger. Weisenberger up from the free throw line. His pass or shot blocked. Shula gets it. He'll toss it back to Burschbach. Back out to Terrace, and Regis will set it up again. Colfax man-to-man on the Ramblers. Pass goes back to Burschbach. Out to Weisenberger. And flying in is Shula. He'll get a pass out in the corner to Terrace. Three-pointer missed. Shula reload over the top. Loose ball, trying to save it is Ensminger. And it last went off of Andrew Burschbach. 8:32 remaining first half. Colfax 6, Eau Claire Regis 14. Fisher drives to the right wing, then it goes down on the baseline to Eli Ralph. And ball gets loose. It's picked up by the Ramblers. Blake Rissler up the floor for Regis. Tosses it back to Weisenberger. Weisenberger off the glass for a good layup. 16-6 Regis. Approaching the 8-minute mark remaining. Fisher out to Hovde into, and it's picked off as Orion Nichols tried to get a pass in there. Ralph gets the rebound, or gets the loose ball and puts in the three. 16-9 is the score. Regis leading Colfax. Ramblers, Blake Rissler lets it fly from about 22 feet. And he nails a three-pointer, 19-9. Approaching 7.5 minutes to go. First half, Aiden Fisher. Give and go to Ralph in the far corner, back to Fisher. Fisher called for traveling. And Colfax wants to take a timeout. 7:23 to go, first half. Regis 19, Colfax 9. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN 2.
Are your animals feeling a little under the weather? Give the nice folks at Colfax Animal Hospital a call. Austin and Nikki Pritchard are just what the doctor ordered. In fact, they are the doctors and they're ready to help. That's the Colfax Animal Hospital. Give them a call at 715-962-3380.
Just a varsity game here tonight. The last time these two teams met was in the 2015-16 WIAA Division IV Regional Final. In that game, played here at Regis, the Ramblers won 66-51. They're leading by 10 now, 19-9. Driving it up the floor, Noah Terrace. Terrace to Rissler, fired into a moving Weisenberger, and he flies in with a left side layup, and it's 21-9. Johnson fires over to Fisher, dumps it into Schwartz. Schwartz looking to go, fires outside around the horn, and Fisher for a three-pointer. And trying to knock it back in is Johnson, and ends up going back to the Ramblers. It's Rissler, layup on the right side is good. 23-9 Ramblers. Hovde fires off to Fisher. Bounced in to Schwartz. Schwartz goes up, miss, rebounded by Berschbach. Noah Terrace will bring it up the floor and taking a three-pointer. Berschbach drains it. Wow. 26-9 Regis. Hovde fires off on the left side to Fisher. Back to Hovde. Dumps it into the big man Schwartz. Traveling violation.
Mason Yarrington into the Colfax lineup.
So Mason Yarrington checks in for Ensminger. 6 minutes left in the first half. Colfax 9, Eau Claire Regis 26. Terrace out to Rissler. Rissler driving in, up. Missed, rebounded by Theo Hovde. Up the floor to Johnson. Johnson back to Hovde, off on the left side to Fisher, into the big man Schwartz. Back out to Hovde. Hovde out to Yarrington. Bounced in to Johnson, dishes it off, down underneath on the left side. Shot missed by Fisher, but the reload was good. 26-11 Regis, 5:25 left in the first. Weisenberger gets a pass off to Berschbach. Weisenberger again goes to the opposite side. Terrace tries to get it into Alex Shula, and it was last touched by Regis. So Colfax will, well, actually went off Colfax. I guess they're going to give it to Regis. Inbounds throw into Walterstorff. Back out in the corner to Rissler. Rissler free throw line left, out to Terrace. Terrace to Weisenberger. Out on top, Berschbach. Off the back iron, big, goes out of bounds. Colfax gets it back. Colfax trailing Eau Claire Regis by 15, 4:53 to go in the first half. Playing on the Bill Ullman court here at Eau Claire Regis. Bill Ullman is here tonight. Shook a lot of hands. He was the coach here for a long time and led the Ramblers to a lot of success. That ball goes back to the Ramblers. Noah Terrace flips the ball back out to Weisenberger. Weisenberger up to Berschbach. Berschbach driving around, going in, tripled up underneath the basket, goes to Terrace. Into Rissler. Flings it over to Weisenberger and then back out to Terrace, free throw line left. Terrace heads toward the line. He'll go to Berschbach. Terrace. Berschbach. Bounce it into Blake Rissler, and Regis is going to be patient to get a good shot over in the far side. Terrace out to Weisenberger. Weisenberger for three! 29-11, Eau Claire Regis, 3:43 left to go in the first half. Pass goes out to Fisher. Fisher into Schwartz, over to Yarrington. Back to Schwartz. Schwartz will go up. His shot short, and the ball peeled out of there by the Ramblers. Terrace comes up with a loose ball against Hovde. Hovde out to Berschbach. Berschbach give and go Weisenberger. Rissler is fouled by Aiden Fisher.
Vikings foul on number 4. Aiden Fisher.
That is his second foul. That is the fourth foul for Colfax.
Harrison Haas into the Rambler lineup.
So the Ramblers going to throw it in front of the Colfax bench. Andrew Berschbach. Big stack up right in front of Mark Knoll. The pass goes into Blake Rissler. Rissler out to Weisenberger. And from the far side, Berschbach, three, bounces out big. Rebounded by Ensminger for Colfax. Ensminger takes it up the floor over to Yarrington in the corner. Back to Ensminger, over to Johnson. Johnson dumps it into Ryan Nichols. Back out to Johnson. Johnson for three. bangs around, nearly goes in, but bounces out and pulled out by Burschback. Over to Rissler. Rissler driving in, layup on the right side is good. Regis by 20, 31-11, 2:30 to go here in the first. On the baseline, it's Eli Ralph. Ralph bounces it up. He'll get it right back. And we're going to have a foul underneath the basket on Eau Claire Regis's Blake Rissler. That is Rissler's first foul and his the third team foul. Ryan Nichols out on top to Ensminger. Back out to Fisher. Fisher dumps it into Nichols. Over to Yerington. Yerington for three. Swishes it. 31-14. Approaching 2 minutes left in the first half. Owen Weisenbeck fires it down to Harrison Haas now in the ball game. Andrew Burschback. Free throw line right. Flips it inside to Wolterstorff. And Ensminger tries to knock the pass away from on its way to Blake Rissler, and it goes out of bounds. Inbounds throw to George Wolterstorff. Out to Weisenberger. Weisenberger, Burschback, three, nails it. Wow, it's going to be interesting. Take a look at the three-pointers Regis has. They lead Colfax by 20. Blake Johnson, Mason Yerington catches the back iron, getting the rebound though. Eli Ralph, Ralph out to Ensminger. Ensminger for three. 34-17, Regis leading Colfax, 1:12 left first half. Driving up, it's Rissler. Rissler out to Weisenberger. To Blake Rissler. Rissler, big bounce off the glass, too hard, trying to save it as Ryan Nichols. And it will go back to Colfax. 57 seconds remaining in the first half. Eau Claire Regis 34, Colfax 17. Jay Fall, Dan Petshaw, Chris Olson on the camera from Eau Claire Regis. Ryan Nichols into Eli Ralph. And he's fouled on the way in by George Wolterstorff, so he is going to get a couple of free throws. 42 seconds to go first half. 34-17, Regis. Make it 18 for Colfax. One free throw left. And that one bounces off, and it's pulled out of there by Andrew Burschback. Burschback dribbling it across the center jump circle, fires over to Weisenberger. Out to Rissler. Rissler to Weisenberger. Weisenberger trying to get it down in the far corner to Harrison Haas. And the foul's going to be on Eli Ralph. His second, the fifth foul for Colfax. Just under 25 seconds left in the first half. Throw in goes to Andrew Burschback. Burschback, one-handed bounce pass to Weisenberger. Back to Burschback. Over to Rissler. Down in the far corner to Haas. Haas ditches it to a wide-open George Wolterstorff for a basket for Regis. Out to Ensminger. Ensminger to Johnson. Ensminger, top of the key, or Johnson for two. And at the end of the first half, the Eau Claire Regis Ramblers 36, the Colfax Vikings 20. Stay tuned now for Viking Halftime. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN 2.
When you have that craving for a home-cooked meal the way Mom used to make it, rest assured, you can still get that meal by going to Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax. Mom's is open daily, serving breakfast and lunch, and don't forget dinner on Friday nights with Mom's famous fish fry. The coffee is always hot, the breakfast is always delicious, and lunch will put a smile on your face and in your stomach. 225 Bremer Avenue, Colfax. Call 715-962-4617. That's Mom's Restaurant and Pub.
To get your lawn or garden to perform at attracting what you want, you first need to know what your soil is working with. That's where Midwest Environmental Consultants can help. Their soil testing service can give you a complete rundown on your soil's nutrition and health. They test for nitrogen levels, phosphorus, potash, micronutrients, minerals, pH, and organic matter. Let Midwest Environmental Consultants put you in control of your soil's health. Call Midwest Environmental Consultants at 608-468-2067. That's Midwest Environmental Consultants, serving Western Wisconsin.
Anderson Bridges, located in Colfax, Wisconsin, has been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. With hundreds of bridges supplied nationwide, we suspect you've crossed our path. It may have been on a pedestrian or bicycle bridge, or how about a snowmobile, ATV, or golf course bridge? Anderson Bridges is likely to have manufactured it. Founded in 1989, Anderson Bridges has been a family-owned company since its beginning and are proud to support the Colfax Vikings.
Time now for Viking Halftime, with today's Viking profile and other halftime entertainment. That's coming up right after this.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Me the bed, see you in the morning. With the first did Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really hard for me.
Time now for Viking Profile, where we take a closer look at one of the Colfax Viking players. And now, Viking Profile.
Today on Viking Profile, we're going to get to know Elijah Ensminger, who is a senior here at Colfax High School. And Elijah, we know you play basketball, but are you involved in any other activities here at school?
Yeah, I did baseball last year.
Okay, and how did that go?
Went pretty well.
All right. Now, when did you start playing basketball, and what kind of an experience have you had with it?
Started playing basketball around like 4th, 5th grade, and it's been a good experience.
Now, what's the most important thing that you've learned playing basketball?
Being able to talk.
Okay. All right, so when you're not playing basketball or you're not here at school, what are some other things that keep you interested or occupied?
I like to hunt and work a little bit too, and then that's about it.
Okay. All right, couple rapid fire questions for you. You know these are coming. Pie, ice cream, cake, or cookies?
Ice cream.
Which kind?
Probably vanilla.
All right, you can do anything with that.
Yep.
All right. Hot dog, burger, or brats?
I'm going to have to go with the burger.
And what do you want on that burger?
Probably bacon and cheese.
Bacon and cheese. Okay, a bacon cheeseburger. That sounds really good. Favorite color?
Probably blue.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. Just probably, I don't know why.
You just like it?
Yeah, I just like it.
That's as good a reason as any. If you could have a superpower, what do you think that might be?
Probably to teleport.
Oh, being able to teleport. Okay. Now, if you have that power to teleport, you have to have a superhero name to go with that. So what's Elijah's superhero name?
Teleporting E.
Teleporting E. Okay. Favorite NBA team?
Probably the Bucks.
And favorite collegiate team?
Badgers.
All right. Is there a basketball player who has kind of inspired the way you play your game? And that can be at any level of the game.
I like Luka Doncic. He's just really good. And he's not like really good at one thing, and he just uses what he's good at to help him.
Okay, now we're talking with Elijah Ensminger today on Viking Profile. And Elijah, what are your plans for after high school?
Probably either go to CVTC or just get a job right out of high school and continue to work.
Okay, how about a shout out to the family?
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for everything you do.
Now, when people come and watch Viking games, what number do you wear, and where are they going to find you on the floor?
Number 10, and probably running up and down the floor.
Okay. All right. We want to thank Elijah Ensminger for joining us today on Viking Profile. Coming up next, more Viking Halftime.
You've been listening to Viking Profile. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking, now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
You've been tuned to Viking Halftime. Stay tuned. Coming up is second half action of today's game on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
What are you doing in there? What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Welcome back to Eau Claire Regis, 36-20. The Ramblers lead the Vikings. Dan, let's take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, here's the scores right now for the Regis Ramblers. They're led by number 21, Blake Rissler. He has 15 points. Followed by Andrew Bursbach with 6. We have Noah Torres with 3. We have Owen Weisenberger with 9. And George Walterstorff with 3. For the Vikings, they're led right now by number 10, Elijah Ensminger. He has 7. Followed by Aiden Fisher with 4. Mason Arrington with 3. Blake Johnson with 2. And Eli Ralph with 4. 36-20, Regis.
And stay tuned. We'll have second half action for you coming up after these messages. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
C&K Construction is your source for high-quality concrete and construction work in the Chippewa Valley. Established in 2014, C&K Construction in Chippewa Falls is a leading concrete contractor proud to serve Eau Claire, Altoona, Menominee, and surrounding areas. Specializing in concrete construction, excavating, flatwork poured walls, and much more, they're right for all of your concrete needs. Call C&K Construction in Chippewa Falls at 715-559-1335.
To Eau Claire Regis, the Ramblers lead the Vikings 36-20. Join NLWN2 along with the Northern Light Webcasting Network this Thursday night, January 25th, as the Viking boys will host the Durand, Arkansas Panthers in a Dunn St. Croix Conference matchup. Live coverage will begin with Viking pregame beginning at 6:40. That'll be followed by all the live play-by-play action. That's Colfax Boys Basketball on Thursday, January 25th, this Thursday on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Ramblers now moving right to left. They start out with the ball. And it's Noah Terrace. Terrace give and go to Weisenberger, and he will Missed the layup on the right side. Fisher comes up with the rebound for Colfax to Elijah Ensminger. Ensminger out to Yarrington. Back over on the far side to Aiden Fisher. Fisher cross court to Yarrington. Yarrington looks at a three. He'll give it to Ralph instead. Now taking a shot right on the arch for two is Blake Johnson. Terrace brings the ball up for the Ramblers. Bounces it over to Alex Shula. Shula with a layup on the left side. 38-22. Regis. Approaching 17 minutes to go in the second half. Blake Johnson out to Yarrington. Back out in the far corner to Eli Ralph. Ralph to Fisher. Back to Yarrington. He's out free throw line left. Dishes it off to Johnson. Back to Yarrington. Outside the arch, will pass it back to Fisher. Now Ensminger takes a three-point shot and drills it. 38-22 Colfax. 38-25 Colfax. Colfax closes the gap to 13. Weisenberger, one-handed pass that Blake Rissler has to stretch for. Rissler out to Terrace. Terrace to Wolterstorff. Wolterstorff up from the lane. Ball laid up there a little bit and dropped in. Colfax bringing it up now, trailing by 15, 40-25 to Eau Claire Regis. Yarrington to Fisher. Back to Yarrington. Yarrington and Fisher keep it off on the left side. Down in the far corner to Johnson. Back out to Yarrington. Into Ralph, and he bounces it inside, and it goes right to the George Wolterstorff of the Ramblers. Up the floor with it is Blake Rissler. He lets it fly. No good. Rebounded by Aiden Fisher. Fisher in the lane. Tosses it up there. Falls short. George Wolterstorff with a rebound. Noah Terrace on the left side will feed George Wolterstorff. Then back out to Alex Shula, and coming out of there with it, Mason Yarrington for the Vikings. Yarrington gets it back. He'll try a three-pointer. Bangs around, doesn't go. Loose ball picked up by Terrace. And left wide open for a layup, Alex Shula.
From Noah Terrace.
Fisher brings it back up. And he'll wait on the edge of the R. Over to Yarrington. Corner to Ensminger for two.
Basket by Elijah Ensminger.
42-27 Regis, approaching 14 and a half minutes left in the second half. Owen Weisenberger back and forth with George Wolterstorff. And let's see, we're going to have...
I think we got a fall on Blake Johnson.
Yeah, it looks like it. They haven't put anything up on the scoreboard yet.
That'll be Blake's first, I do believe.
Regis with the ball back. Back up on the top. Weisengerber, or Berger. Back out to Terrace. Terrace out to Wolterstorff. Back to Shula. Shula. Fire it out to Wolterstorff. Back out to Weisenberger. Waiting. And a mix-up, and Aiden Fisher gets in there and grabs the ball away. Fisher takes it up, and he dribbles it a little high, but thankfully Ryan Nichols is there to get it back to him. Ensminger, or that was Ensminger, sorry. Out to Yarrington. Mason drills a three-pointer. Regis lead cut to 12, 42-30, 13-23 left second half. Blake Rissler, free throw line left, pops it up from 15, in and out. Pulled out of there by Fisher for the Vikings. Fisher up to Yarrington for three, bounces out, no, and the loose ball picked up by Noah Terrace, going down to Weisenberger. Weisenberger put in the layup on the left side. Now with the ball, Johnson for Colfax. Johnson out to Ansminger, to Yarrington. He'll bounce it to the top of the key to Fisher for three.
Basket by Aiden Fisher.
44-33, Regis out in front of Colfax. Approaching 12 and a half minutes to go, second half. Driving up the floor, Noah Terrace, give and go out to Blake Rissler. For Regis to George Woltersdorf. Woltersdorf out to Rissler. Scoop pass back out to Weisenberger. Woltersdorf. Ball went off of Aiden Fisher out of bounds. Regis is going to keep it. Join NLWN TV along with the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Tomorrow night as the Viking girls take on the Boyceville Bulldogs in a Dunn St. Croix Conference matchup. Live coverage begins at 6:40 with Viking pregame, followed by all the live play-by-play action. Colfax girls tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. Colfax with the ball. Johnson with a three-pointer, rolls off, rebounded by Noah Terrace. Terrace out to Weisenberger. Weisenberger left open, drives in, shot falls short, rebounded by Elijah Ensminger. Ensminger up the floor to Yarrington, back to Ensminger, three-point shot, good! And Eau Claire Regis wants a full timeout. 11:33 to go, second half. Eau Claire Regis 44, Colfax 36. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
Are your pooch's proportions putting on pounds? Or is your kitty's constitution constantly complaining?
Well, stop by and see the friendly folks at the Colfax Animal Hospital. Doctors Austin and Nikki Pritchard and their staff will be happy to help you get your family friend back on the road to healthy living. That's the Colfax Animal Hospital. Call them at 715-962-3380.
Let Menominee Eye and Optical help you see the world for the beautiful place it is. Doctors Nicholas and Marianne Comroe provide both comprehensive and emergency eye care for all, including pediatric and special needs patients. Whether it's examination for glasses to cataract and LASIK care, or diagnosis and management of macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, and so much more. In addition, Menominee Eye and Optical's experienced opticians will help guide you to the highest quality eye care for the best value. That's Menominee Eye and Optical, located at 520 Wilson Avenue in Menominee, where they specialize in quality, personalized care for you and your family.
Regis with the ball, Noah Terrace. Bounce pass to Owen Weisenberger. Back outside to Woltersdorf, to Burshak. Back free throw line left, Weisenberger. Weisenberger out to Terrace. Down in the far corner, and we're going to have a foul called on Aiden Fisher.
Colfax foul against number 4, Aiden Fisher. That's his third personal.
That's the third foul for Aiden and the first of the half for Colfax. Regis with the ball. Terrace flips a pass to Burschbach. Over to Weisenberger. Weisenberger tripled up on, gets a pass over to Terrace. Back to Weisenberger. Drives in from the left wing. Shot missed. And we're going to have a foul charged on Theo Hubby of the Vikings.
First personal, second team foul.
That's his first foul, his second foul of the half for Colfax. 10:52 to go in the second. And the first free throw up and in for Owen Weisenberger. 45, Eau Claire Regis, 36 for Colfax. Boys back in action Thursday night, back in the conference, hosting Durand, Arkansas. Live coverage begins, Viking pregame at 6:40, followed by the live play-by-play. Second free throw is good. That's Thursday night, Colfax boys on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Ensminger trying to drive on Weisenberger. Back to Yarrington. Noah Terrace now guarding Ensminger. He'll take it back out to the center jump circle. And Ensminger up from the corner of the lane, bounces around, doesn't go. Rebounded by Shula. Shula to Terrace. Terrace out to Wolterstorff. Back in the middle to Birschbach. Back down to the near side, Terrace to Wolterstorff. Out to Terrace. Wolterstorff. Back and forth with Shula. Wolterstorff goes up from the lane. Shot falls short. Pulled out of there by Logan Schwartz. Schwartz to Ensminger. Ensminger across the timeline to Yarrington. Free throw line left. Outside the arch. Will flip it over to Ensminger. And Ensminger got a little push on the way in from Noah Terrace.
Number 4, Noah Terrace. That's his first personal.
That's his first foul. And the first for Regis this half. So Mason Yarrington's going to throw it in for Colfax. He'll bounce it into Ensminger, who got crowded in there by Blake Rissler.
Rambler foul on number 21, Blake Rissler. That's his second personal, second team foul.
10-point lead for Eau Claire Regis. Elijah Ensminger on the free throw line. For Colfax makes the first. 9:42 left, second half. Jay Fall, Dan Petshaw, Chris Olson on the camera. Here at Eau Claire Regis, second free throw goes in as well. And Andrew Birschbach's going to throw it in to Blake Rissler, then back over to Owen Weisenberger. And they get it up the floor to Birschbach. Across the timeline, down on the far side to Wolterstorff. Ends up back in the middle to Weisenberger. Weisenberger goes up in the middle of the lane.
Vikings foul on number 2, Theo Hubney.
And that foul's going to be on Theo Hubney, his second. The third foul of the half for Colfax. Throwing it in will be Owen Weisenberger. Tossing it into George Wolterstorff. And a pass goes off the fingertips of Blake Rissler and out of bounds. Colfax gets it back. Colfax girls host Boyceville tomorrow night, 6:40 for the pregame, followed by live play-by-play. Colfax girls against Boyceville tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. Yarrington drives, pops it up from 13. Missed, ball tipped around, rebounded by Andrew Birschbach. Birschbach up the floor to Rissler. Rissler looking underneath, he's going to drive in. Shot too hard, and we're going to have a foul called on George Wolterstorff.
George Wolterstorff, that's his second personal, third Rambler team foul.
Under 9 minutes to go in the second half. Eau Claire Regis 46, Colfax Vikings 38. Colfax closing the gap to 8. Ensminger being guarded by Birschbach. Out to Hubby. Hubby. Give and go out to Fisher. Back to Hubby. Dishing it in the corner, and Orion Nichols turned away before the pass was there. Birschbach. Wolterstorff. Back to Rissler. Rissler waits off the glass. Good. 48-38 Regis over Colfax by 10. 8:15 left, second half. Ensminger driving in. Ensminger layup falls short, and it is going to be going to Regis, which is interesting.
Replacing Theo Hubby and Logan Schwartz.
Coming up on the 8-minute mark in the second half. Regis leads Colfax by 10. Ball knocked away, picked up by Blake Johnson. Out to Aiden Fisher, tries a three-pointer, missed. And that rebound by Alex Shula. Weisenberger, give and go out in the far corner to Rissler. Stumbling a bit, gets it back to Weisenberger to set things up. Up at the top of the key, pass to Woltersdorf. He'll flip it back to Blake Rissler. Three-pointer, swish.
Basket by Blake Rissler.
51-38 Regis, 7:25 left in the second half. Fisher out to Johnson. Johnson for three.
3-point basket by Blake Johnson.
Colfax cuts the gap to 10. Regis with the ball and the lead. Owen Weisenberger out to Shula. Round the horn to Berschbach. Berschbach being very closely guarded by Ryan Nichols. So close they're going to give him a foul. So that is the first foul of the game on Ryan Nichols. That's the fourth Colfax foul of the half. And the girls are leading. Is that 9?
5-2.
5-2, 52-18.
Over Mondovi. 13 minutes left in that game.
Weisenberger out to Berschbach. Berschbach trying to get it into Shula. He'll pull it in. Weisenberger comes to help him out. Noah Terrace, three-pointer, bounces off big, and trying to go for it is Eli Ralph. He manages to get out of there. Driving in Berschbach. And then back outside. Andrew Berschbach gets it back to Rissler. Rissler driving in. Turnaround jumper. No good. Rebounded by Ralph. Given to Aiden Fisher. Fisher just outside the jump circle, left side, down under 6 minutes to go in the second half. Fisher trying to get the ball to Ensminger, stolen away by Regis, going for the layup, missed! And Ensminger will come up with it. Ensminger, give and go, free throw line right to Fisher, and he's called for a travel. And Colfax wants a timeout. 5:36 left, second half. Colfax 41, Eau Claire Regis 51. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN 2.
Dairy State Bank encourages you to save smarter for your retirement by maximizing possible tax advantages. We offer traditional, Roth, and rollover IRAs with a wide variety of investment options. It's not too late to invest up to $6,500 of possible tax-deferred earnings into an IRA for 2023 tax purposes, or $7,500 if you're 50 or better. Call or stop by for more information. Dairy State Bank, banking on relationships. Member FDIC.
If your estate isn't looking quite estate-like, let Midwest Environmental Consultants landscape your estate right up to snuff with installation of retaining walls, brick patios, foundation planting beds, and so much more. Then they'll keep it that way with their expert lawn care service. Call Midwest Environmental Consultants at 608-468-2067. Let Midwest Environmental Consultants help make your estate the showplace of the neighborhood.
Welcome back to Eau Claire Regis. 5:36 to go, second half. Colfax down by 10 to the Regis Ramblers, 51-41. Regis is going to get the ball right in front of the Colfax bench, and they'll bring it out. Noah Terrace out to Weisenberger. Back out to Berschbach, and top of the key, Rissler, three-pointer missed, rebounded by Eli Ralph. Ralph gives it to Elijah Ensminger. Ensminger driving up the floor, fires it into Johnson, gets it out to Ralph. Ralph goes up off the glass and good for a two. Approaching the 5 minutes remaining in the second half, 51-43 Regis. Ramblers with the ball. Weisenberger out at the mid-stripe in the middle to Rissler. Down to Berschbach. They'll bring it off the baseline. Fire over to Noah Terrace. Free throw line right back to Burschbach. Burschbach, one-handed scoop pass to Weisenberger. Weisenberger out to Terrace. Terrace to Burschbach, down on the right baseline. And back out on top to Weisenberger. Colfax in a man-to-man. Regis waiting for that good shot. Noah Terrace. They don't feel they've had one here for a little bit. Burschbach. Doubled up by the Vikings. Top of the key. Weisenberger for three. 4 minutes left in the ball game. Regis 54, Colfax 43. Ansminger, nice move, just short. Rebounded by Alex Shula. Getting the ball back, Burschbach. Burschbach, top of the key. Will bounce it back to Shula. Over to Rissler to Terrace. Burschbach drives out of there. Weisenberger. Free throw line right to Noah Terrace. He'll get a pass back to Andrew Burschbach. And we will have a foul charged to Colfax's Ryan Nichols.
Foul number 20, Ryan Nichols, his second personal.
That is his second foul. The fifth foul of the half for Colfax. 3:19 left in the game. Eau Claire Regis 54, Colfax 43. And a foul charged to Aiden Fisher.
That's his fourth.
That is his fourth foul and number 6 of the half for Colfax.
16 foul against Colfax.
Inbounds throw into Wolterstorff. And that'll be 1 and 1. That is on Mason Yarrington.
Colfax foul number 15, Mason Yarrington.
That's his first. But that is going to be the put the Ramblers on the free throw line 1 and 1 rest of the game here. First one good. Viking boys back in action hosting Durand, Arkansas this Thursday night. 6:40 for Viking pregame, followed by play-by-play. Viking boys, Durand, Arkansas. That one missed. That one on Thursday night, but the rebound picked up by Andrew Burschbach, and a timeout called by Regis. 3:12 left first half. Ramblers 55, Colfax 43. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV is excited to once again be your host for Colfax High School Girls Basketball throughout the 2023 through 2024 season. Our next game will be on Tuesday, January 23rd, when the Vikings will host the Boyceville Bulldogs. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN TV begins with Viking pregame at 6:40 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking Girls Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV on Tuesday, January 23rd.
Ramblers get the ball back, 3:12 to go, second half. Big pass to Wolterstorff. And we're going to have another foul on Mason Yarrington.
Yeah, it looks like this one's going to be one at the line tonight.
His second personal, 8th team foul. George Wolterstorff shooting the bonus.
George Wolterstorff shooting for Regis. Missed, will not get a second. And ball goes to Ensminger from Fisher. Ensminger up high on the left side to Yarrington. Yarrington looks to Fisher for three. Or Johnson. That rolls out. And it's rebounded by Weisenberger. Weisenberger gets the pass back from Terrace, and we're going to have a foul called on Blake Johnson.
Vikings foul number 23 23, Blake Johnson, his first personal 9th team foul. Blake Whistler into the Rambler lineup for George Watersford.
That is the first foul for Blake Johnson of the game. That's the 9th team foul of the half on Colfax, so that will give the Ramblers a double bonus on the next Colfax foul. Owen Weisenberger makes number 1, and the Ramblers back up by 13, 56-43. 2:42 left. First half, second free throw miss, second half, sorry. Ensminger up high on the right side, give and go out to Fisher. Fisher down on the right side. Misses the shot, and it's rebounded by Owen Weisenberger. Quickly up the floor it goes to Rissler with a big pass. And we're going to have a player control foul. That's going to be charged to Blake Rissler. That's his third. Number 4 foul for Regis in the half. Mason Yarrington fires over to Aiden Fisher. Fisher goes up off the glass. Good layup on the right side. Approaching 2 minutes remaining in tonight's game. And we're going to have 5-second violation on Regis. Eau Claire Regis 56. Colfax 45. Colfax takes a timeout. You're watching Colfax Viking Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV is excited to once again be your host for Colfax High School Girls Basketball throughout the 2023 through 2024 season. Our next game will be on Tuesday, January 23rd, when the Vikings will host the Boyceville Bulldogs. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN TV begins with Viking pregame at 6:40 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking Girls Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV on Tuesday, January 23rd.
Tuesday, January 30th against Thorpe.
Welcome back to Eau Claire Regis. So the Lady Vikings will be hosting Boyceville tomorrow. And the boys will be hosting Durand, Arkansas on Thursday night. Viking pregame for both of those starts at 6:40. Girls are tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN TV. And the boys on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2, Thursday night. Colfax with the ball underneath their basket. Under 2 minutes left. Yarrington fires it out to Fisher. Fisher goes up, lays it up, bounces out, no good, rebounded by Rissler. Rissler to Weisenberger. Up to Burschbach. Burschbach being guarded by Yarrington. Ball flipped out to Rissler. Rissler back to Burschbach. Noah Terrace gets it back, and I think Regis is just burning up clock here now with an 11-point lead. Owen Weisenberger. Weisenberger out to Burschbach. Burschbach, high pass, but Weisenberger manages to get it. Back into Burschbach. Out on the far sideline to Rissler. Rissler will drive in. He'll ditch it back to Schuler, try to. It's picked off by Ensminger. Ensminger out to Fisher, free throw line left, up from the free throw line, good! 1 minute left in the game. Eau Claire Regis 56, Colfax 47. Trying to save it from going out of bounds. We're going to have a foul called on Blake Johnson.
Foul number 23, Blake Johnson.
That is the 10th foul for Colfax this half, so going to the line for 2, Owen Weisenberger.
Owen Weisenberger at the line, shooting.
The Dunn St. Croix Honors Choir and Band performance will be held this Saturday, January 27th, 1:30 at Elmwood High School. First one is good. Regis back to a 10-point lead, 57-47. And the second one's good. make it an 11-point lead. Fisher coming up the floor with it. Fires it off to Johnson. Johnson for three, misses, but it's rebounded by Schwartz. Out in the far corner, Ensminger for three. And Colfax wants a timeout. 38.4 seconds left. Regis 58, Colfax 50. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Lights Webcasting Network and NLWN 2.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN 2 are excited to once again be your host for Colfax High School Boys Basketball throughout the 2023 through 2024 season.
This is what we came in for!
Our next game will be on Thursday, January 25th, when the Vikings will host the Durand, Arkansas Panthers. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN2 begins with Viking pregame at 6:40 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 on Thursday, January 25th.
38.4 seconds to go in the second half. Eau Claire Regis 58, Colfax 50. Both these teams have overall records of 6 wins and 9 losses. Regis has the ball. They can run the end line. They hand the ball to Noah Terrace. Terrace gets it into Rissler. Rissler back to Terrace. Terrace out to Weisenberger. Weisenberger held up. Guarded by Johnson. Loops out of there. Weisenberger over to Birschbach. To Rissler. Back to Birschbach. Keeping it over on the left side. Now to the right to Weisenberger. And we're going to have a foul. Charge to, I think that's going to go, well, that's going to go against Blake Johnson. That's Blake's third. First free throw, good. Regis by 9, 59-50 over Colfax. 13.3 seconds to go, second half. Second one's missed, rebounded by Aiden Fisher for the Vikings. Fisher driving to the other end, trying to get it over to the left side into Schwartz. Goes off the feet of one of the Ramblers. Johnson's going to throw it in with 6.8 seconds to go. Gets it into Ensminger. Ensminger, top of the key. Three ball rolls off, no good. Alex Shula gets the rebound. And that is the end of the ball game. The Eau Claire Regis Ramblers 59, the Colfax Vikings 50. Colfax now is 6 wins and 10 losses on the season. This was a non-conference game. And Regis is now 7 wins and 9 losses. We invite you to stay tuned for Viking postgame. That is coming up next. Tonight's Colfax Viking basketball game is brought to you by the Colfax Animal Hospital. At Doctors Austin and Nikki Pritchard and their friendly staff take care of your pet. C&K Construction, your concrete experts for the Chippewa Valley. Dairy State Bank, where they're banking on relationships. Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for the Chippewa Valley. For Western Wisconsin. Anderson Bridges, who have been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. Slayton's technology IT provider for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Menominee Eye and Optical with quality personalized care for you and your family. And Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax. Comfort food the way Mom used to make it. Be sure to thank these fine sponsors for bringing you Colfax Viking Boys Basketball by doing business with them soon. You're watching Colfax Viking Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
You have been tuned to Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. This copyrighted production of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and Colfax High School is intended for the enjoyment of the viewing and listening audience. Any broadcast, rebroadcast, or reproduction in part or in whole in any form without the express written consent of the Northern Light Webcasting Network LLC and Colfax High School is prohibited. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Viking Postgame with a look back at today's game.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Time now for Viking Postgame, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. And now, Viking Postgame.
Welcome to Viking Postgame. We have JV coach Tristan Kittleson with us, and Kristen, quite a team you faced tonight.
They're very good. Their guard play is really solid. I thought they played, really tough-nosed defense. Their 2-3 kind of gave us some fits early, then came into man. But I thought we responded really well. Came out in the second half, kind of had that 16-point deficit, came back, and I thought we played really well. I think we cut it all the way down to 8 or 9, I think, at one point. So we were proud of how they fought back and continued to battle.
You bet. Because your team outscored Regis in the second half 30-23, so that was a a very nice comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought our man-to-man defense picked up the pressure. We didn't give 21 and 3 as big a driving lanes, I felt like, in the second half, and I thought we did a little bit better job rebounding the ball as well.
Okay, so what kinds of things can you take out of tonight's game, getting right back in the conference Thursday night?
Yeah, well, I think that second half, like you said, is for sure something that we can build off. I think, again, when we put our mind to it, we can play really solid man-to-man defense, and I think that kind of needs to be our identity, that man-to-man defense and picking up and rebounding at a high level, because when we play good defense, I think that leads into better offense, and then when we can put the two together, I think we play pretty good basketball. So I think if we can look at that second half and realize that if we can guard and compete against, a team like this, then I think we can guard and compete against anybody, and I think we've shown that at times, whether it's, leading at Elk Mound at the halftime or beating them in the second half here, and I thought we played really high-level basketball at times throughout the year, so we just need to now put together 2 solid halves of basketball.
Okay. Coach, thanks for stopping up and talking with us, and
absolutely appreciate it.
Good luck as you keep going in the conference.
Sounds good. Thanks for all you guys do. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Tristan Kittleson, the JV coach for the Colfax Vikings, as the Vikings fall tonight 59-50. We'll be back with the scoring. You're watching Viking Postgame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
Spring is on its way, and the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV are excited to once again be your home for Colfax High School baseball.
Yeah.
Join us as we follow the Colfax Vikings as they battle their way through the Dunn St. Croix Conference. We'll carry Viking home games on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV.
59-50, Eau Claire Regis defeats the Colfax Viking Boys. Dan, let's take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, here's scores tonight for Regis. They're led by 2 guys tonight. Number 3, Owen Weisenberger, and Blake Rissler at 20 points. We had Alex Shula with 4. We had George Waltersdorf with 6. We had Noah Torres with 3. And Andrew Birschbach with 6. For the Colfax Vikings, they're led tonight by number 10, Elijah Ensminger. He had 20 points. Aiden Fisher had 11. Mason Arrington had 6. We had Blake Johnson with 7. And Eler Ralph had 6. 59-50 Regis.
More Viking basketball coming up this week. Tomorrow night, the Lady Vikings will host the Boyceville Bulldogs. And Thursday night, the Viking boys are back in action. At Colfax, they host Durand, Arkansas. Both those Viking pregames start at 6:40, followed by live play-by-play action. It's the girls tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN TV, and the boys on Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2. We appreciate you joining us tonight. For our camera operator, Chris Olson and Dan Petcha, I'm Jay Fall. Good night.
You've been listening to Viking Postgame, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. You can catch Colfax Vikings games by tuning in to any of the Northern Light Webcasting Network outlets. This has been a production of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.